Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. The next topic is French Revolution, but we will not be focusing on only French Revolution. We will be trying to study French Revolution from a particular angle, that how English literature evolved, or what are the writers who were influenced by the French Revolution ideals. Now let's come to the introduction of the French Revolution, and then inshallah we will go next. I would be a bit quick so that we can cover all of the points. Wherever there is some confusion, you can post a question, or I will also try inshallah to explain those terms which are a little bit difficult, or those ideas. The rest I will be very quick and fast going through the slides. Introduction. There is little or no freedom of speech, of expression in places that are ruled by oppressive tyrannical regime. Yani jo tyrannical regime that was ruling there in France. Such was the situation of France under the monarchist dictatorship of the Catholic king. He was Catholic and he was a monarch. Monarch means like he was having all the authority, and he was called Louis XVI. The society was confined within the perimeters. Perimeter means limits defined by the government. Yani it means actually that people were not allowed to get involved in those activities which were not allowed by the government, with unfair law, and the laws were unfair, and unequal distribution of resources, and the resources were distributed unequally. Means those people who are working class, they have very less rights and they have very less resources, while those other upper two classes, clergy and the ruling class, they were having all the resources and all the good standards of living. So the living condition of the people determined their states of mind. What were the condition? It was also trying to decide or to show the state of mind, like what kind of mentality existed by the time, which always be a great influence on the nature of literature. And the mind is also a great kind of things that create literature that is produced from that region, that particular region. It actually says that we will be reading the mind of the people of the France by the time, because mind is the only thing that creates literature. Now we'll come to the social structure, and then we will know about the mind's setup, and then the literature, and then the society as a whole. In this divided society where the people were segmented means divided into the nobles and clergymen on one side, and on the other side working class. Means working class were considered to be of less importance, or they had not all the values or good standards of life. On the other hand, so clergy on one side and the working class on the other. The literature of the time was quite restrained. Means people were not properly focusing on the literature, or something that they produce were not allowed to be published. It was just because of the policies of the government. All the literary material that is to be found is only focusing on the lives of the upper class, namely the nobles and the clergymen. This is because the common man was too busy working and was of much less importance to those who were writing at the time. मीन्स जो राइटर थे उस वक्त वो इतना उनके लिए इम्पोर्टेंस नहीं था कॉमन लोगों की ज़िंदगी. द इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग फॉर देम वाज द लाइव्स ऑफ द नोबल्स एंड द क्लर्जी एंड द किंग्स or the royal family. The literature and art of that time seems to be representing only one side of the reality of France, because it was showing only the rich people and their lives. They were not supposed to touch even the lives of the poor, and that is the bright side of the selected people, and they were just showing the good side of the society, not the bad side. जो यानी गरीब लोगों के साथ प्रॉब्लम होती है, अमीर लोगों के साथ तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती. So they were not ready to write about the poor people. They were writing only about the rich people. So all this while the huge working class remained unnoticed. उनकी जिंदगी के बारे में किसी को कोई परवाह नहीं थी. Now French Revolution and Romanticism. When the spirit of the revolution caught the whole of the nation and turned things into a whole new direction. अब एकदम लोगों को revolution का element, क्योंकि वो oppressed थे, they were exploited, so they are caught another. Means society suddenly took a big turn, and that turn was the whole society turned things into a whole new direction. नई direction में चली गई चीज़ें. Then art and literature began to take a new turn, और उसके साथ art और literature, there was also a new life in the art, because it was trying to have more freedom to write about the poor people. The newly acquired freedom of the common man and common people got new freedom by the French Revolution was only brought about just law and living, but ordinary people also had freedom to think for themselves and in turn the freedom to express themselves. After that French Revolution, what happened? Like people started thinking about their own self. They have times, they were like relieved, and they have freedom, and they can express themselves, and they can even express their own lives, the lives of the poor people. Triggered by the revolutionary spirit, the writer of the time were full of creative idea. Creative idea means when you are restricted, when you are not allowed to discuss something, you don't create, you can't create. But when you have freedom of creating or creating new idea, then you can create. और चूंकि फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन के वक्त चूंकि फ्रीडम आ गई थी, तो they can create, they can think unlimitedly. So that's why they can create new things. So creative idea, and were waiting for a chance to unleash them. और वो जो क्रिएटिव आइडिया था उनको आज़ाद करने, उनको एक्सप्रेशन देने के लिए भी आज़ादी मिल गई, और दे वर रेडी. अंडर द न्यू लॉज द राइटर एंड आर्टिस्ट वर गिवन ए कंसीडरेबल अमाउंट ऑफ फ्रीडम टू एक्सप्रेस देमसेल्व्स. यानी फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच को बहुत ज़्यादा आज़ादी मिल गई, विच डिड वेल टू पेव द वे टू सेट ए हाई स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ लिटरेचर. एंड नाउ द लिटरेचर वॉज स्टैंडर्ड और वॉज बेस्ड नाउ ऑन ए हाई मॉरल free ground, and it was showing the reality in all the faces of the society, not only the rich and the clergymen's lives. They were now talking about the common people, their problems, their social aspect, their political aspect, their freedom, and all those things. So this was now the original or the high standard of the literature. Now, roots of French Romanticism. French Romanticism कैसे चूंकि revolution, it was the revolution, and that like have the roots of the French Romanticism, and from there the Romanticism influence traveled to England. Then in most of the dictionaries we find Romanticism to be defined as a literary and cultural movement which took place in Europe in 19th century. 19th century means यानी from 1801 to 1830, यानी 1801 से लेकर 1830, beginning of the 19th century. The credit of this movement goes to the imagination and creativity of those great romantics who managed to express their inner feelings in a very profound and articulate literature. Means now they are talking about their own feelings, what they think. Subjectivity was the main subject of Romanticism, and they can say something which they feel to be wrong as wrong. They couldn't were forced to accept wrong things as right. So they were not looking things from the social point of view, they are from the whole point of view or objective point of view, rather than they have subjective point of view. और subjective का मतलब ये है कि जो चीज़ आपको अच्छी लगती है वो आपको अच्छी लगती है, बाकी सोसाइटी को अच्छी लगे या ना लगे. ठीक. So that is called subjective. In itself, the French Revolution is seen to be the dividing event between the era that is described as the pre-Romanticism era, with the Romanticism era having its root in 1774. यानी जो French Revolution है, that is the dividing line between Romanticism and the era that is, यानी जो period था, era था before Romanticism, it is now the dividing line, this Romanticism. And its roots are there in 1774 and coming to full form by the end of 18th century. यानी 1791 से लेकर 1800 तक, this is the end of the 18th century. So towards the end of the 18th century, Romanticism came, it's flourished completely or fully. That the French Revolution was taking place, and by the time there was also taking place the French Revolution. So both of the events are having parallel kind of development. It means on one side revolution was the freedom or the germs or the roots of revolution was going or progressing or developing. On parallel with it were the roots of or the elements of Romanticism. So both of them were going on in the same way. The same thing, what we call in the political, we call it revolution, and in the literary world we call it rather than Romanticism, revolution in the literary work or in the literary world. Famous French Romantic authors. Some of the authors from the Romantic movement gained world recognition, and many are held in high esteem even till today. Vigny, is an author which is said to have played a major role in the development of the Romantic Revolution with his play Chatterton in 1820. The greatest poet of that time was Hugo, who is considered to be one of a kind. One of a kind means कि वो अपनी मिसाल आप था, यानी there was no comparable or anyone comparable to him. There was Joseph de Maistre, who was inspired to write under the impact of the great magnitude of the French Revolution, यानी वो French Revolution की से मुतासिर था, उसकी वजह से उन्होंने लिखना शुरू किया. And many other who sought to take the newfound freedom of expression got a very huge success during the time, and people got huge freedom of freedom in the positive direction of setting new standards for literature. And then they started talking about the new standard means personal standard, ideals, and all these things. The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo was a huge book in this time period. It was centered around the cathedral church को कहते हैं, but also did a great job of pointing out social class differences between two people. He was also talking about their differences, and these differences actually between the rich and the poor were the main cause of the French Revolution, and it was a thing that emerged or that ignited the fire of revolution among the people, because among the poor people and the farmer and the worker, because they considered to be exploited, and they were in huge number, and the small number of the people who were ruler and who were clergy and who were nobles, they were very little number. They were only 5 to 10% of the whole society, but they were having all the 90% of the resources, and they were enjoying their lives. So it ignited the revolutionary germs and revolutionary fire amongst the people, and then it burst, and there were a lot of bloodshed. This is a great representation of what has happened to France that caused such a stress during the French Revolution. The main theme of the whole book is cultural revolution. It is cultural revolution means it is a revolution on the side of the culture, which is what is happening to France during the Romantic era. So if you look at it, French Revolution and Romanticism are running, are going, are developing, are sprouting and getting stronger and stronger, parallel with each other. A closer look at the influence of French Revolution on selected English Romantic poets. Although the poets mentioned earlier, Wordsworth, Coleridge, Byron, and Shelley all shared the common theme of approving the French Revolution. Means इनका जो theme था वो approve कर रहे थे उनके themes French Revolution को. Means they were in favor of French Revolution, and whatsoever theme they had a kind of revolution in their writing, in the literary world, same as the French Revolution or the Revolution of France in the social and in the political life. So although these poets mentioned earlier, they have the same theme as that of the French Revolution, or their theme was approving, or they were in favor of French Revolution. They each have their own unique idea regarding the revolution itself that have greatly shaped their work. This can be seen by analyzing some of each of their work. Let's come to each of them one by one quickly, and then inshallah we'll finish this class. The first more important and revolutionist writer of English literature is Percy Bysshe Shelley. Ever since he was young, Percy Bysshe Shelley was very non-traditional, means he was not following the tradition. He was born as a free thinker, and in spite of all his lovable and generous trait, का मतलब ये है कि he was very beautiful, he was very young, and he was very handsome, having all like these beautiful features of a good man. तो बड़ा खूबसूरत और lovable था, और generous trait, generous means कि उनकी जो आदत थी वो भी बड़ी generous थी. He was a born disturber of the public peace. Means public peace का मतलब है कि he was used to write with revolutionary zeal. At school he was known as Mad Shelley or atheist. Atheist means does not believe in God or does not believe in any religion. According to Hancock, the goddess of revolution rocked his cradle. The goddess of revolution rocked his cradle. इसका मतलब ये है कि जब वो he was in the cradle, झूले में था, तो goddess of the revolution means जो इनकिलाब की goddess है, it rocked him, means he it was with him, or it becomes one with it, or it rot का मतलब है कि when something becomes a kind of spirit or become a spirit of someone. Okay, throughout his life Shelley's opposition towards religion grew less violent, means religion की तरफ जो उसकी opposition थी, it becomes less and less violent with the passage of time. However, he never professed a belief in immortality, लेकिन उसको कभी भी mortality के means के लाफानियत के बारे में उसका opinion कभी develop नहीं. लाफानियत means here कि life hereafter, because the religion believe that life is immortal in the life hereafter, but he does not believe in that or religion of any sort. His poem declared a belief in the permanence of things that are true and beautiful, and he believed that only beautiful and true things will remain permanent. Okay, like art, like good thoughts, these kind of things. Common themes that Shelley perceived by Shelley incorporated into his work include the hatred of king, यानी वो king से नफरत करता था, and he was very strong against, because the king is showing like king are the things are the sign of what we call it like restrictions and pabandiyan. Faith in the natural goodness of man, he believed in the natural goodness of man, the belief in the corruption of present society, and he believed that the present society by his time it was completely corrupted. The power of reason, the right of natural impulse, the desire for revolution and liberty and equality. And these were the slogans, यही नारा था फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन का, liberty, equality and fraternity. Okay, so they are all clearly shaped by the French Revolution. So Shelley French Revolution से काफी मुतासिर था, and most of his ideas and themes are based on French Revolution. Okay, next one comes Byron. While Shelley had faith that was found upon modern ideas, Byron had faith in nothing. He does not believe in anything. He was hopeless, the kind of things we call it. He stood for only destruction. Because of this, he was not a true revolutionist, because revolutionist things are a hope for the best in the future, and was rather the arch apostle of revolt. He was just an arch apostle, यानी उसका जहन revolutionary था या rebellion पर based करता, यानी बगावती था, and against constituted authority, and he did not believe in any constituted authority. He believed in the total freedom. This statement is easily defended, as Byron admitted that he resisted authority but offered no substitute. यानी वो अथॉरिटी को तो रेजिस्ट करता है, बट ही हैड नो सब्स्टिट्यूट टू इट, उसका अल्टरनेटिव उसके पास कोई नहीं, ही हैड नो सोल्यूशन टू इट. दिस सपोर्टेड बाय व्हाट बायरन वंस रोट, आई डिनाई नथिंग बट आई डाउट एवरीथिंग. मैं किसी चीज़ का इनकार नहीं करता, लेकिन मैं हर चीज़ पर डाउट करता हूँ. एंड देन सेड लेटर इन लाइफ, आई हैव सिंप्लीफाइड पॉलिटिक्स इनटू एन अटर डिटेस्टेशन ऑफ ऑल एग्जिस्टिंग गवर्नमेंट. In politics, he says that I have simplified politics into utter detestation. Detestation कहते हैं नफरत को, यानी it's just like politics जो है ना, he was completely against it, okay, of all existing government. यानी government जितनी भी exist करती हैं वो क्या है, in simplified form of politics है, और वो यही है कि वो किसी भी शेप को, ठीक है, पॉलिटिक्स में हो या गवर्नमेंट की शेप, वो सबसे नफरत करता है. सो ही बिलीव्ड इन दैट, ही बिलीव्ड इन एनी काइंड ऑफ रिस्ट्रिक्शन, एनी काइंड ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, वेदर किंगडम और पॉलिटिकल. ही हैड नो सॉल्यूशन, बिकॉज ही हैड नो सॉल्यूशन फॉर दैट, फॉर द किंगशिप और फॉर द रिवोल्यूशन. ही वाज रिवोल्यूशनरी बट ही हैड नो सॉल्यूशन आफ्टर द रिवोल्यूशन. Byron believed neither in democracy nor in equality, but opposed to all form of tyranny and all attempts of ruler to control man. यानी वो बिल्कुल फ्रीडम चाहता था. वो he told that there shouldn't be any restriction at all on any person, but he had no solution to it, that how then people could be governed. In Byron's poetry, he is incorporated deep feeling rather than deep thinking, deep feelings and deep thinking. He was not a thinker, he was a person who can agitate the feelings to make his character strong. Often Byron portrayed his character as being in complete harmony with nature. So Byron's character were in complete harmony with nature. This is what he believed, that nature should only control, not the government, not the kingship, causing the character to lose himself in the immensity of the world. यानी दुनिया में उनको लूज कर दिया जाए, लूज इमेंसिटी यानी दुनिया की जो बड़ापन है या इट्स द बिगनेस ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, इट शुड बी द फ्री, द कैरेक्टर शुड आल्सो बी फ्री लाइक इन द होल वर्ल्ड. दे शुड नॉट बी रिस्ट्रिक्टेड बाय एनी गवर्नमेंट, any boundary, any rule, any kind of things, whether democracy or whether dictatorship. The French Revolution played a huge role in shaping Byron's belief and opposition to monarchy, and he was very strongly against the monarchy. And this is what like he was revolution, and even he was even a step further than the French Revolution, because he did not believe in any kind of government. He did not believe in any fraternity and freedom, any kind of things. He was rather which is under the government, whether democratic or whether tyrannical or whether dictatorship or whether that is like kingship. He wanted that there shouldn't be any rule at all. But how that is possible? It was not like even he didn't give any idea to it. The next one was Wordsworth. While Shelley and Byron both proved to support the revolution to the end, both Wordsworth and Coleridge joined the aristocrats in fighting it. They were against it. Okay. Wordsworth, however, is the romantic poet who has most profoundly felt and expressed the connection of the soul with nature. So Wordsworth was talking about the nature and soul, यानी इंसानी रूह और जो फितरत है उसको वो मिलाने की कोशिश कर रहा है. He saw great value in the immediate contact with nature, and he considered that there is a great value if a person is one with nature. The French Revolution helped to humanize Wordsworth as his work transition का मतलब है कि ट्रांसफर हुआ फ्रॉम एक्सट्रीमली नेचुरल एक्सपीरियंस टू फेसिंग द रियलिटी एंड इल ऑफ द लाइफ. वो ये कहना चाह रहा है कि पहले तो वो बिल्कुल नेचर पे डिपेंड करता था. ही वॉज कम्प्लीटली नेचुरल. ओके, ही जस्ट टॉक अबाउट नेचर एंड ही वॉज लुकिंग लाइफ फ्रॉम his own philosophy. But after the French Revolution, when he saw the reality of life, then he brought those realities and natural experiences to the real life experiences, including the society in the revolution. From then on, his focus became the interest of men rather than the power and innocence of nature. यानी पहले उसका इंटरेस्ट क्या था? नेचर था. He was talking always about the nature, but now he's talking about the problem of human or man. The next one was Samuel Taylor Coleridge was also profoundly affected by the French Revolution. Unlike Wordsworth or Coleridge was more open and receptive to the social and political world. यानी Wordsworth जो था वो सिर्फ नेचर पे ज़्यादा क्लोज था, लेकिन Coleridge was also accepting both of the human and social and political aspect of life and also nature. He was a very versatile man and he led a life that covered many fields and his work displayed this. यानी वो versatile का मतलब है कि हर फील्ड में एक्सपर्ट था लिटरेचर के. He was a poet of nature, romance and the revolution. He was a philosopher, a historian and political figure. The French Revolution played a great role in shaping Coleridge into each of these things. According to Albert Hancock, Coleridge tended to focus his life on two things. The first being to separate himself from the surrounding world and to submerge himself in thought. यानी अपने आप को लोगों से सेपरेट करके सराउंडिंग से अपने आप को थॉट्स की दुनिया में लेके जाना एज अ पोइट. द सेकेंड टू प्ले ए रोल इन द वर्ल्ड्स अफेयर. लेकिन वो दुनिया से आइसोलेट भी नहीं होना चाहिए. डिड नॉट वांटेड टू गेट आइसोलेटेड फ्रॉम द वर्ल्ड. सो ही वाज हैविंग ऑल दोज क्वालिटीज. ही वाज अ फिलोसोफर एंड हिस्टोरियन एंड पॉलिटिकल. तो ये चीज़ें दुनिया के साथ डील करती हैं. तो वो ये भी था और वो नेचर के साथ भी ताल्लुक़ रखा और थॉट्स के साथ, और वो पोइट भी था जो जिसकी दुनिया थॉट्स पर होती है. एंड द वर्ल्ड इज़ बिल्ड ऑन ओनली ऑन थॉट्स. थैंक यू वेरी मच. इंशाल्लाह आई विल बी डिस्कसिंग नेक्स्ट लेक्चर सून.